Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video on a quick update about the F1 car that I've been showing some spy shots to, and where I stood on that. It's actually like the second video. So I had on the Facebook page, I had some, shots kind of hinting towards what kind of car it was and everything, and I was getting everything together and was basically ready to release it when some things came up that really mentally put me in the state of mind to scrap the project. I didn't think it was going to be an issue, but apparently it was. I had scrapped it, pulled down my posts about it, and after a couple days of just kind of dwelling on it, I guess, I came to the conclusion where I just said, it's just business, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. So I am bringing the car out. I am going to make the conversion kit for an A12 to become an F1 car. So I wanted to make a video showing it and give a rundown of what's needed, what's in it, things of that nature. This is technically the third car that I've built of this. Backstory on this project was back in January, a racer from another track came to me and said, hey, I want to see if we can take an A12 and make it into an F1 car. There isn't one out there, hasn't been done yet. And my instant response was, hell yeah, let's do it. I'm always up for crazy ideas, things that haven't been done yet, modifying existing. In it, I use the word loosely, innovating new ideas. So he gave me an A12 donor car. He gave me a Roche, whatever their last F1 was that they had, to use, basically just a model wheelbase, track width, and then steel the wings and axle off of. I've had F1s in the past. I've had the Schumacher Icons. It's a fun class. I'm not. None of this is to talk down about it. It's just never been appealing to me, whether it was real life or in the radio control world. I've always been about going as fast as possible and not really worrying about grip. F1 to me, when I was trying it, I just chasing tires, chasing grip, chasing all these different setups, and I just never really got into it. So I had nothing here for it. I've done F1 projects in the past, but nothing of this level. So I sat down with it, and about a month later, I had it drawn up. I had 3D printed prototype parts to put a roller, bench roller together, so I could see how things fit and looked and whatnot. Cut everything out of G10, made sure it all fit. Then I moved on to actually cutting the car for him, aluminum chassis, carbon fiber parts, and I gave him a roller. We changed some things cosmetically on it, nothing really major. function-wise was all the same, but cosmetics changed, and I gave him the car. So then that put me, you know, end of February, March. Then I had a local guy that I've known for decades now and raced with. He loves F1. It doesn't matter if it's matchbox to a full-size F1. He came to me eager for the car as well, and I built the second one for him, which he came down to the track and we built the car there in the pit and put it out on the track. It was underpowered, it had the wrong tires on it, it was undergeared. Well, gear was pretty decent, but it was underpowered and the tires were definitely wrong. He drove it around and it looked stable. It was actually pretty decent. He was happy with it, which was more important to me. So then he came back the following week and we sat down with the car, and he had made some changes to it, and then we made some more changes at the track, and it had gotten better than its initial run. And I drove it for a couple packs and it really felt comfortable. Like some speed control setting changes and some radio changes to my style, and as I keep repeating, I could wheel it like I do a touring car. And I'm an aggressive driver, conservative but aggressive. So that got me thinking, like maybe this thing's got some potential to it. Interest grew over it. Now we're looking at like end of March, beginning of April. During that time, I was being handed rent-a-rides by another racer that was trying to get driver count up and help the class grow. So I was kind of getting more used to how the cars feel, how they drive, and figuring things out with them, both for setup and myself. And I'd gotten my hands, now we're looking at April, I'd gotten my hands on an actual car of my own, started stocking up another product line. So April, I got my own car, different brand, and I'm getting used to the class. And come the beginning of May, we had the regionals down there. See back there. I was lucky enough. It wasn't the fastest car, but I was lucky enough that I won the regionals with it. I didn't TQ, but I won the regionals, and I won't say that it made me like the class that much more. It made me enjoy the class. It's definitely come a long way from what I tried driving 4 or 5 years ago. Innovation, ideas, designs, they've come a long way. So that got me thinking that this was actually a project worth bringing out. More driver options, doing something different. I never have high expectations for a lot of these things that I bring out. For the level, I won't say level, but for the type of business that I am, these projects just, I enjoy making stuff. That's what it comes down to. I enjoy thinking up weird things and making it and bringing something out that some people would want. That's what does it for me. I miss the days of going to a track and seeing oddball ideas and crazy cars, or seeing the pros show up with things that we just assumed was, a prototype that we'll never get our hands on, but it was actually them being creative. I miss that creativeness that we used to have, years ago, decades ago, wondering what these guys were drinking, or how did they even come up with some of this stuff? I think nowadays everyone is so I don't know how to say it. There's so much on the thrill of winning that they lose sight of some of the fun that this hobby is. And winning's great, it is, but it's still a hobby, and I think that gets lost sometimes. Just have fun with what you're doing, and that's what this car, this project was doing for me. So, car number 3, I built it. I had some ideas in my mind that suddenly got changed, almost caused me to scrap it, and then I remembered why I do these things, and I'm gonna release it. It is coming out, so I guess I'll just show it. So it is a full chassis car. I didn't want to go the route of just making a plate to bolt on the front. I wanted the full challenge of coming up with something when I started on this. So I decided to go full chassis. I'm gonna hit it right off with the big hurdle that we ran into when we started this was myself and the driver I was doing this for, we realized that typical Shorty 2S pack won't fit inside the 12 scale tray. We originally wanted to do it, he wanted to do it on an X chassis, and when we, luckily while we were there initially talking with this, he remembered, he's like, he tried a 2S pack and we were like, crap, it won't fit. So my easy solution was I can just draw it out, jig it up, and I can mill the battery slot. The problem with the X and the WCs is that roll center is bigger dimensionally, and we wouldn't have the room to do that. So we went back to the OG car. So the OG car had those two threaded holes in it. One was for your roll center, and then the other was the grub screw back when you were using the, it first came out and the SESs weren't out yet, or the SES kit wasn't out yet. So then I figured out, I'll just move that roll center forward to that front hole since it's not used anymore, because I'm going to be stretching. I already knew it was going to be a full chassis car. I'm going to be moving that front roll center forward anyway. Problem solved. I started drawing it up. That was, January when this all started. I started drawing it up, and I kept that in mind, that I was moving the center, the middle roll center forward. I have to stretch the front. I took into consideration not understanding, are those roll centers there on an A12 for a reason? So I kept everything proportionate. It is a bigger car. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. We found out that the R1 4600 ultra low CG battery is a 2S, and it drops right into a 1S tray. So now I don't have to mill a pocket. The project got a slightly small amount easier. So I told that driver, I said, well, this is the only battery you can run. I don't know what else is out there. Any 2S battery that is, I'll say, ROAR legal, in case you hopefully want to run this at a sanctioned event. Any 2S battery that is 93 millimeters or shorter will fit into the 1S tray. I don't know. I heard of. I was told another brand would fit, a 4200 that would fit in the tray, but I haven't found supply of that. It seems like it's been discontinued. But anything 93 millimeters, check ROAR approval. stay away from the Amazon Chinese ones unless you know the brand is good. I just don't want to see any track fires or house fires. But that was the major hurdle that we got around by finding at least one battery. So unfortunately, you're stuck to that one battery unless you can find some others. The front end on the car is completely, it's all carbon fiber. I had to design everything on it. I went with a vertical mount servo. You can see all the pieces there. There is three, I'll call them sections to this. So there is a 3mm bottom plate down here that bolts to the upper battery chassis, just like A12 does with the use a kind of hook. You got the 4 screws there, and then the front, because I moved the pivots forward, the front uses the same stock roll center as the A12. It uses that aluminum piece that goes on top of the A12 front plate, so you build it the same as you do a 12 scale car. On top of that plate, there is 3D printed spacers for ride height to space those lower arms up. I'm going to include in the kit, this is what they look like. I'm going to include in the kit 2 different sizes. There's a 7mm thick and a 6mm. Now the 7mm I have on my car built with the popular carpet tires that everyone's running, and without shimming the axle on the kingpin like we do in 12 scale, I'm sitting at 5.2 ride height. With a 7mm and some shims, I was able to fine-tune my ride height down to 4.5. So there is some room to play around with to set it, by your preference. The 6mm, I don't have any CRC tires. I only have what I can find on the internet for size information, and I believe the 6mm spacer that's going to be included in the kit should help those that are going to run on CRC tires, because I know they're smaller. Should help them get up to ride height. If we find out that 6 is still too much and they can't get the chassis up high enough, we can always just make new spacers. They're just 3D printed, and offer them up that way. The lower arms will bolt on top of those spacers, and then the vertical servo mount is another carbon fiber piece that goes on top of that, and there's a brace across the front. But so the lower plate will have 4 threaded inserts. They're the Schumacher inserts that they use on their cars. Easily sourced if you wanted to get extras. I'm going to press them in myself back in this chaotic mess. They're really easy to press in. You actually just thread them and suck them into the carbon. They lock in. Those will be just in place for you. And then the suspension arms have 1 each inserted as well, because the servo plate mounts and secures to those as well. I feel it locks everything together, instead of relying on just a few screws to hold things or going overboard on it. The arms will come ready for an A12 kingpin, so you're going to reuse your steering assembly off your 12 scale. You're going to reuse the kingpins and the sleeves, the collars. You can use all the original A12 ones or the new X and WCs, because I know they changed slightly. Mix match, do what you want on those, but the arms will be made for those that come in the kit. The camber holes that are drilled, quite honestly, mine are not perfect to match. So your camber could be off slightly from what you think the hole was set for. So I recommend a 10 scale setup gauge. Most guys have them anyway, because that's how they really set race trim. On top of the front single piece that is the arm brace, I use the standoffs. So on the 12 scale, you use, the steering basically hits those as your steering stops. So when you clip a board, the inside wheel doesn't cave in and lock turned in on you. I took those standoffs and I used them on the front of my car. Let's see, kind of see them over in the corner over here, right there. The light gets it. So those pretty much lock the steering, so you can't can't get that inside tire locked in. You can flip it two different ways. So one side of that spacer is flared out, and then the other one is the hex end. They are two different sizes, so you can flip them. There's really no mindset on which way to put it. It just depends how much throw you want to use in the car. Ideally, if it's not enough for you, the wheels turn quite a bit already, almost too much, I feel. But you can use any standoff you want, anything that a 3mm screw will go into, any diameter. So you could even use skinnier ones or whatnot, or not use them at all if you're that good of a driver. What else? You can use any A12 axle on it, whether it's the newer ones or the originals, the on-centers or the ZTSs. The other thing we ran into, we knew up early, was the wheel bearing differences. So the 10 scale wheel bearings, obviously the OD is bigger, the ID is bigger than the 12 scale axles. So my original idea was to use another brand's axle because the bearings would fit easier, and you could make them fit on an A12 Kingpin quite easily. That idea got thrown out, and the driver that I made the second car for, local guy, he decided on his car to go with the CRC axles off their F1. So he used that, and that actually gave me the idea for the wheel bearings. We had an idea originally, was a sleeve to go over the axle and inside the bearing. I wasn't too fond of it because it is a big enough but small difference. And then I found that what CRC does is they do a 3D printed sleeve over the 12 scale axle, because they use the 1/8 inch bearings, the 1/8 inch axle bearings. So in the kit I will be including it's just a 3D printed little sleeve that you take the stock A12 bearings and you put the sleeve over it, and they fit. It's not a tight fit, it's a snug fit. You can press them in with your thumb, and then you can just use a hex driver on the back to just pop them back out. I did notice after building mine and using the Popular tires, I did notice that there was play in it. So I thought it was due to my print. I chased dimensions, I chased my print variances on how it printed. There is, on the outer bearing, my other car does this, and I never bothered to chase it down because quite honestly it didn't seem to affect the car. I had a lot of play in the front end that just always bothered me. Like, why was it there? It shouldn't have been there. So when I was doing these, I had the same play. I chased my print, and I even took the bearing out of the outside and put it on the inside with the sleeve, and it was snug there. But then my outside with a different one was that told me. And then I tried it in some sweep wheels. I tried it in some Volantes, whatever, and Team Power wheels, and they were snug inside and out. I didn't have that play, so that told me that this particular wheel, it should be revisited. Either the mold slug is off slightly, or process. I don't know. Something is off just enough that the outer bearing has play. So you could put a thin bead of CA inside that outer bearing pocket on the wheel. Use some kicker, spray it into something and cover it. Let the fumes just dry it. We're not trying to glue the printed sleeve in the wheel because then it's unusable. But we're just trying to take up some slop in there. Or you can just leave it and drive the car. But there'll be 8 of those in the kit. They are the same as CRCs. It's everybody with a 3D printer can make these things themselves as well. So you can, I'll have spares on the site if you want to order more. There'll be 8 in the kit. If I run out and you need them right away, you can check CRC site. The OD is all the same. Well, the ID of the sleeves and the OD of a 12 scale bearing. That's pretty much the front end. Body mount and side spring mounts. So I've done a lot with the 12 scale cars, the inline cars that I've done over the years. I've done a lot with learning about spring locations and, you know, on those cars, the side links and how it affects, what it does. And it's all about leverage. So on this one, I have 2 options. I have a forward and a rearward location for springs. You will need new plastic inserts for the threaded spring perches. Most guys I know glue them into the originals, but you will need new sets. 1 pack will get you forward and rearward. 2 packs will get you all 4 holes filled. So generally, the more rearward the spring is, I'm not an engineer and I don't really know how to talk like one, so this is probably not the right way to explain it, but the more rearward the spring is, the more balanced the car will be and have rear grip. The more forward will actually it'll make the car feel like it has more steering. It's not actually making the car steer more, it's actually removing rear grip. So on my 12 scales, I've always had 2 locations depending on track level grip. And the forward one I feel like will benefit a lower bite track or a tighter track, where you need the car to rotate faster, but it's actually rotating because it's losing the rear grip. It's, as I say it, the car wants to spin out, and now you're either controlling it, dialing it out with either spring tensions, or you're dialing it out with dual rates. And the rearward one will be more beneficial on like your higher bite, your bigger flowing tracks, to actually let the car naturally want to rotate. It'll naturally want to steer and not break the rear end loose. And there's an inner and an outer set of holes. So the inner set is where I would recommend starting. Inner and rearward would be my recommendations, depending on your track. I mean, if you're an aggressive driver and you like a car that feels like it's on the edge, try the forward holes. You know, it's up to you. But I think inner and rearward is going to be a good starting point. The outer holes, I put them in there on the same premise as the A12, where they say you move the springs out and it makes the spring feel stiffer. You're not changing the spring rate, you're just changing the feel of the spring. Again, that's a driver preference thing. You know, if you're rearward and you feel like it's too planted, maybe try moving them outward with the same spring, or my recommendation would just be to increase the spring rate in the existing hole, but it gives you things to play with, both forward and back. It's got these things, these plates have they have the tab on them, the little ears for the battery O-ring, and they have 2 body mounting holes. So on my car, I'm using the inner ones closest to the battery. This works well, I found, on the bodies that have a narrower driver cab area, where the sides are lower and the cab area is narrower. The original car and the second one I built, they gave me bodies that were the wider style, like this. So you had the sides that really kind of came out and came down. Those were the original holes I had used when I built those. And then building mine, I went with the narrower cab and I had to move them in. So you got body options there. You can use the 12 scale mounts off your donor car. Moving back from that, the rear pod. So I asked a question a while back to one of the pro drivers on the measurement on the axle tube, you know, to find center line of the car on the tube, and they didn't know, but he told me that the new axle tube, I think it's AT12F, I think is the new part number. That has, I'm looking it up right now, that has the line in it, so that you tell you in a second here, sorry. That has the line in it, yeah, AT1203X. That has the line in it for the center of the car. So that worked on, I don't know if that tube works on the old plates. I know the wheelbases are different, they're fixed, but I don't know if that tube works, which would then tell me if the X and WC motor plates would bolt in the same spot, you know, like using those, the newer pods on the older chassis. I don't know any of that. Maybe if one of you guys watching this know firsthand, like, yes, you can take an X and put the motor pods on the original chassis, the screw holes are in the same spot for the chassis, great. You could comment, let some other drivers know. Maybe they can use that tube. I still don't know the measurement, to be honest. I could find it out, but my car has the original ones on there, with the wheelbase change. I did set it up for short wheelbase on this car. Figure out if it works. I think it will. But I needed to figure out axle height, so did some math, and the car will come with what are ums? Again, 3D printed spacers. So there's an A spacer and there's a B spacer. The B spacer is my math believing on CRC tires, so it'll go same spot and it just drops everything down. They're not set it and forget it ride height spacers. I left room so drivers can tune what they want. So you'll use a spacer and then you'll just use some shims, 1/2 mil, 1 mil, 1.5, 2, whatever you want your ride height, whatever the tires are. But I believe the B spacer should get you in the ballpark with a smaller tire. On that mount is going to be where the wing mount goes to, and all the F1 wings, front or rear, are all the same bolt patterns, so you can use any rear wing you want. This wing mount has will have 3 heights to it, so you can set the wing at whatever height you want. Also just acts as another brace for that spacer. You can see in mine, the wing is, to me, it's in a good spot. Like I said, I'm not an F1 guy, so I couldn't really tell you, like, you know, you want it forward or backward more. So I'm including in the kit as well a couple of 2mm printed spacers to move the wing backwards a little bit. On my other car, I shimmed my wing back 2mm just to try something, and for me it worked well. It actually calmed the rear end down. It felt like it took some hop out of the rear. So I was able to drive it in harder and actually get on the gas, get on the throttle a little earlier coming out of a corner, or a little harder. And that's where that I found worked well for me. So I came up with they're just 2mm 3D printed spacers. You can space, there'll be 2 in a kit, space the wing out at the axle mount. On my car, I have my fan mounted over the battery like most 12 scale guys do. See it there. My original the fan mounts that I've been selling for a few years now, for the A12, fit the 25 and 30mm fans without changing anything. So on this one I added holes for 40mm, and I just put it on there because I had a 40mm here. I will upload that file to the site so anyone can download it for free, whether it's for this car or for a 12 scale. If you wanted to try to drop a 40mm onto a GT12 car or something. It is tall though. I did design it so if you found a 2S battery to fit the length, it will clear it, should clear it. But I'll have the file for free on download, the STL, on the site. Gearing, I don't know what you want. So on my other car I am running a bigger spur. I started it at like 96, and working with motor temps and whatnot, I kept kind of going up 1 tooth on the spur, which is like a 1/2 tooth in your ratio, and I ended up at a 100 spur on my other car. This one, with the A12, you're gonna have to play with spurs a bit. I say you're gonna be in the 80 range, mid to high 80s, 85 through 89, if you're looking to get like a handful of options. I'm starting mine with a Teen Powers V6 25.5. I'm starting mine at a 90/29. Kind of puts me close to what I'm running on the other car at the track. It's a big track. It's 360 V2 track is where I've been racing, and all this is going down. So it's a bigger track, but you'll just have to play with it. There's not much room on these motor pods to adjust that, but and I'm in the short wheelbase, so the longer wheelbase I could probably gain a tooth or more on the spur, open me up to some more options, but we'll see what happens. My my car, I mean, you're gonna have to play with spur and pinions to kind of find what you can use and to get the gearing that you want. Wings and rear axle, you're gonna have to supply yourself. My initial idea fell through on that. Which the wings, it kind of worked out because not everybody likes the same wing. Some guys prefer different wings, so instead of me including something you're not going to use, I would have liked to have used the rear axle just to make it easier instead of sourcing parts out. So you're going to have to source your own rear axle, your own F1 hubs, ball diff, gear diff, spool, whatever you run, your front and rear wings, whatever brand, style you want to use. Bodies, again, are at driver's discretion. You will have to do, like all of them, some fancy cutting around the front area. In here, the body moves with the chassis. The lower chassis stays flat, so you're not trying to clear it so that when the suspension moves, you're just trying to make sure the body stays up out of the carpet when it rolls, and then just clear the Lexan around the carbon fiber parts so it's sitting, flush. Trying to think what else. Like I said, I had time frame wise, I have material on order. The machine's running, cutting carbon pieces right now. I'm waiting for the aluminum. It will be 70-75. That's all I cut. I don't have any anodizing options. It just adds to the cost, so it's bare aluminum. Just cleaned, looks like brushed. I mean, if you got anodizers, you can have it anodized. It'll come, call it virgin metal. They can anodize it, they can powder coat it, they can paint it, whatever you want to do to it. Vinyl it. I'm looking probably at about mid-June, so I'm gonna have it on the site as pre-order / back order, whatever you want to call it, with a turnaround time of roughly 2 weeks shipping. I'm aiming to have a handful of kits on hand ready to go, so as guys start ordering, I can at least get them out faster instead of making, say the first person who orders, making them wait 2 weeks, and then just keep cutting and whatnot as it goes. But it'll probably stay that way for a while until sales calm down and I get an actual on hand. My inventory is always live. If it shows in stock, then I physically do have it. I'm not waiting for things to come in and taking your money. Pre-orders / back order type things. I don't allow back orders on stuff that I don't make. I'm not like that, so if it's physically not here, it's physically not in my inventory. If it's something I'm in control of production, I'm able to do it like a back order. What else was I gonna say? I do have a price reconfigured now that I'm doing it a different way. I'll have that up on the site. I just want to finalize the aluminum. The aluminum takes the longest just because I cut the blanks and then I countersink and I clean them by hand. So there's a lot of hands-on with everything I make. If it's made by Crazed Builds, it's made here. My shop is right on the other side of the wall to my left. Camera's right. Same carbon I've been using for over 10 years now. Alloy suppliers, the same as all my touring car chassis and the 12 scale stuff I've done. It's all obviously made in the USA. Designed in the USA, made in the USA, tariff free. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I will have the front end. I will have the kit will come with the, I call them standard arms. I will have a negative 1.5 option to move that axle back. Same principle as what the 12 scale cars do. I don't have any plans for a negative 3 like the 12 scale does, but if interest was there, it's most certainly possible. I will have an option on the site for arms to use another brand's front end if you wanted to go that way with their kingpins and their camber setup and their axles. So that will be available for some drivers if they wanted to go that route. But everything in the kit is going to use either what's supplied or what's coming off of your donor car, minus the wing and the axles, or the rear axle. I think that's pretty much it. I'll keep some, I'll try to keep everybody up to date with on the Facebook page with how things are looking as far as getting all the kits together. And the 3D printers, not that one, but the 3D printers are running. I'm making all the 3D printed parts. It's all PETG. Big infill, big wall count, so it's solid. Doesn't matter how long it takes to print. It's solid together, and they're bamboo printers, so everybody knows the quality of the printer is there. I do stock. I am going to try to stock. I do stock a lot of the A12 stuff already. Granted, it's I stock the bushings, the O-rings. I stock the springs. I'll bring in some more kingpins in case guys need options. There's always other suppliers that have that stuff as well. So it's not a supply problem with getting those parts. I think that's about it, to be honest. I can't think of anything else as I'm trying to look around here. Like I said, all the 3D printed stuff will be in the kit. Mid-June I should have, we're pretty much at the end of May now, so a couple weeks I should have things up on the site listed. Unless you can find a battery that's 93 millimeters long, you're stuck using the R1s. Not that it's quality's there for that pack. I just wish there was more options for drivers. What else was I just gonna say? I mean, if everybody goes to that 1S13.5, that seems like it's dividing the world right now. And the car will be golden. You don't have to worry about anything. You could use more of your 1S equipment. But I appreciate everyone looking, watching. Definitely the people who got in touch with me after I went and deleted everything about it. Gave me the kick in the ass that I needed to just deal with the bullshit that's out there. I think that's about it. Like I said, I'll have mine on the track a week and a half. I'll get back down there. I've got work things next weekend, so I can't. So I'll be back down a week and a half to start really shaking this down. And the original driver who I did the project with, he's got his together. I have the missing piece, those bearing sleeves. I have the missing piece for him, but I talked to him and he said he'll definitely be on the track with me. So we'll have two of them shaking it out. I've got my Facebook glasses, so I'll take some video of the cars running, maybe some track action, track footage, kind of things to give you guys more information as to the car, or ideas for what you want, or different things that we're trying and what did and doesn't work. Try to support as much information as I can. Thankfully, he's an A12 driver. I never much played with these. The cars are fanatical, but I just never had one in 12 scale form. I'm excited about this, but keep an eye out. I'll have more up on the website, and I appreciate all the support. Like I said, I appreciate the guys messaging me and keeping my head in the game on bringing crazy things out there. But thanks again. I will hopefully see some of these and some of you at the track. All right, have a good one.